Hey, good morning. Welcome to your behind the scenes for Right on SC. We just got off the air and we had a list at the bottom of our Raise the Stakes post on rightonsc.blog that were questions you could ask if you wanted to raise the stakes in your story. And we didn't get through the questions before the show was over on the radio, so we're going to do those for you now. The second question was, how personally invested is your protagonist in the outcome of the central conflict? And what I was saying is, this is sometimes my challenge with detective stories, because it doesn't seem like the detective really cares. In some detective stories, it'll be like an old mystery that's sort of, but usually their personal conflict is like a subplot. It's not the actual plot. And Agatha Christie never, the Miss Marple, like she never seems to really give a rat's ass whether or not this
but
is
she
going
always
to.
finds it out. I mean, but I always thought that was kind of like Columbo.
Yeah.
You never knew whether or not how invested she was. She kept herself a complete mystery.
Yeah.
Like in Columbo, you always had to pale up next to the murderer, but you can never tell at what point he knew the guy was the killer and he's trying to trap him, and what point he's just asking regular questions.
And who's the name of the Angela Lansbury character in Murder, She Wrote, right? Like, she was the same way, where I never really thought like she was at all personally invested in what was happening here.
Yeah, she just seemed like a nosy old woman.
But everywhere she went, somebody ended up dead. Yeah, so like, stop inviting her to your birthday parties. All right, question number 3. What are the external consequences of your protagonist's actions? How will they affect other characters or the world at large? What are the large-scale repercussions that might come of them failing to achieve their goal? Large-scale repercussions.
Well, okay. Again, San Diego gets blown up.
Yeah.
The killer gets away with the crime.
Yeah.
The main character loses their family, or they lose their job, or, well, in the case of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he doesn't get his bike back. I mean, that's talking about low stakes, right?
Yeah,
and yet it's deadly serious. Should have brought that up on air. Forgot all about it. Oh my gosh,
no, I'm so glad you didn't. So glad we did not waste a single bit of paid airtime on Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is great. Are you out of your mind?
All right, the last question. Are you telling the story of the defining moment of your protagonist's life?
Maybe. It depends.
The biggest, most life-changing and important thing that's ever happened to them. I mean, I'll say yes.
Writing a series?
In my book, in After December, yes. We're talking about Brian burying his best friend, and up until this point, this is the biggest, most important thing that's ever happened to him. In Before Pittsburgh, the biggest, most important thing that's going to happen to him, September 11th.
All right.
Which, up until that point in time, for that generation, was the biggest, most important thing.
It depends on whether you're writing a series. If you're trying to write like a murder mystery series or a potboiler series, then probably no.
Yeah, because you can't do the biggest, most important thing over and over and over again.
20 times, right?
Who wants to read a book with no stakes, though?
Well, there are stakes. There are stakes. It's just not personal stakes for the character.
Yeah.
Maybe it's personal stakes. Maybe it's stakes for the country. Maybe it's stakes for the people who are being affected by it. But that's how. I mean, that's how these series usually last. It's the main character remains static, but everyone else around them is
affected,
dynamic.
Yeah, and probably dead.
Right, probably dead by the end of it, or changed, or put into prison, something along those lines. While on the other hand,
the main character doesn't.
Bulldog Drummond goes on.
Yeah.
Or Nero Wolfe, or.
Last night, as I was putting together show notes,
Hercule Poirot.
I had to keep asking Charlie for examples, and the reason I did was because I'm reading so much just romance novel formulaic stuff right now that there's nothing worth mentioning in any of these books that I'm reading, and certainly nothing that you would have heard about on the as we were on the air. But formula stakes are there as well, right? So if you think about the romance genre, the formula for the romance genre stories, you're going to have somebody has had a broken heart, so can't trust for whatever reason. Ugh. Either this person was formerly abused, or that person died, or whatever it was. The previous relationship has created some kind of wall to what the new relationship is going to have to overcome, right? So that's always a stakes that's available there. And then the other is there's going to be miscommunication of some type where she's going to think one thing but he thinks the other thing, and they're going to go to cross purposes at some point. This is part of the formula. What's at stake when that happens, right? Is it full-on betrayal and he'll never forgive her, or vice versa? It is sort of what gets played around with in that genre. But just think about it too, if you're writing in a genre, that your genre probably has some built-in stakes available for you, and some kind of tropes or traditions that are used in the genre to raise the stakes. So okay, hope you enjoyed this particular episode. Sorry we didn't get you behind the scenes last week. My microphone didn't work. So now I'm going to actually watch this video and make sure that the microphone worked. We might have to re-record. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and we appreciate you patrons for being part of our show. See ya.